on the back with my ass in the world, getting real messy. Everybody gonna be arrested. Defiant G tells world that China is ready to stand its ground. What is going on, guys? It's Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. I'm going to go over this real quick. President Xi Jinping had a clear message to those who want to thwart China's rise. You will fail. Again, this was in a speech running almost 2 hours on Sunday. Xi let the world know that Xi would and his country would not change course even if it faces dangerous storms in a more hostile world. It says instead he declared the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation is now an irreversible historical course, and more forcefully offered Xi's country up as an alternative to the U.S. and its allies. This speech, I believe, will go down in history, and I'm not saying this because I think it's an awesome speech. I'm thinking this is how he wanted that speech to be taken. As far as he made that 2-hour speech as in this is kind of history-changing things. Obviously, we're watching for his country to try to take Taiwan. You have Vlad trying to take UKR. And, of course, you have Nato and their enemies all lining up and drilling to basically smash each other. So this is on top of a ton of other news today that we will be covering. Again, if you've never been here before, my name is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We'll be right back right after this with all of your current events and, of course, everything that is going on in the world. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. Nordvpn is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. In the world, getting real messy. Everybody gonna be arrested. Hopefully they're ready. Let's bring it on the back with my ass. In the world, getting real messy. All right, what is going on, guys? My name is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We're going to get quickly into the news, but I first want to remind you, everything on this show is going to have a bibliography behind it. That way you know exactly where we got this information from. You can go judge it for yourself. You can go read it back. You can go back retrospectively and check our work. Now, when you go over to our website, not only can you sign up for our website alerts directly from us, if we're about to go live, that thing will let you know. But you can also find every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we share. It's very easily organized by thumbnail, so you'll look for today's thumbnail. How could this conflict get any worse? Or is it already there? Once you click on that, you will see that it will bring you to every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we're going to show you. On top of that, there's a whole lot that won't fit into 2 hours. We're talking about everything here. And again, cannot fit what is going on around the world all in one spot. So down at the yellow bar, that is web only or overflow. That's all the stuff that couldn't fit in the show. There's a lot of stuff down there. So make sure to go check that out at the very end of the show. We will talk about what is contained down there. Also, remember, we have Friends of Marfoogle, all of our mods that deal with the anywhere from 3,000 to 15,000 people that may be in the live chat. Those folks down there, those mods, are great people. They're great creators. They're great authors, artists, and everything else. They keep it peaceful and keep the basic rules down there. So make sure to thank them for their work, and you can even thank them by going and subscribing. Past the mods are all of our friends of Marfoogle News. These are other channels that we believe in, think are great people on and off camera, or genuinely we think that these people are helping others. So make sure to go check that list out as well. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So thank you, everybody that has already popped in. Okay, so getting down to it, we have a ton of stuff to go over. But I do want to preface this show. If you are easily panicked or anxious, this is not the show to watch. If you don't like watching scary movies, this is a show that you might want to tune out of. And every time I say this, we do lose people. People say, okay, this isn't for me, and they get out. We are going to be talking about today some scary stuff. So you are a grown adult, and I almost guarantee it. I think 0.01% of my audience is under 24 years old. So, again, you guys can be the judge for yourself. Right now, we have the entire world falling apart, and I'm not going to, cover it in sprinkles. I'm going to say what I think. And my family and Dex's family and pretty much everybody we know, including our mods, they have stuff and they're getting ready. And it's not like, most people look at that and they say, oh, these are loopy, crazy people. No, I don't know where that came from. I think it's, oh, look at those responsible people. Look at those people that are covering their bases, just like the government would, just like the military does. Any respectable kind of organization basically tries to look at possibilities and problems and fix them before they happen. It's a simple thing. I mean, it's like you have insurance on your car, you have insurance on your life, you have insurance on your home, you have insurance on your apartment, you have insurance on your electronics when you buy them from Best Buy. But almost everyone has 3 days of food in their fridge. That is insane to me. And that's why we do this. Again, I hope that we help even one person get stocked up and try to do it themselves. Again, all of our friends page is just full of creators that tell you how to do it. If you're on a low budget, Alaska Prepper is a good one. Survival Living, all sorts of great prepper channels down there. So make sure to go check those out. It says that G has stopped sales of LNG to Europe to make sure its own households have enough gas for the winter, report says. So right off the bat, obviously a lot of people are talking about gas in general and how everything is like anti-gas now. This is even bigger. So most of you are not going to be in Europe, but I know we have a huge chunk of people in Europe right now watching. What does this make you feel like? Let me know in the chat if you are from Europe. Let me know what is going down with this. Dex, now I talked about this briefly earlier on my short video on Marfoogle News, which if you haven't subscribed to, make sure to go over there on Marfoogle News. When you saw this, what did you think? I mean, this is huge.
Well, it certainly is going to be a big deal for Europe. I think the one thing that gets me thinking is this a sign of what's going to happen globally? Is everyone going to start pulling in all their resources and start restricting some of their exports, especially the ones that may be most needed from others? Now, certainly one thing is money always talks. So, as gas prices go through the roof, then they'll probably be, a little bit more lax at saying, well, we could sell some because now we can make 4 times the price, right? But at the moment, it doesn't look really good because the fact that they're holding theirs back, we don't have, in Europe, they don't have the pipelines running from Vlad's country. So there's definitely a loss in capacity, and especially going into the winter months, it's a big deal for them. But I think there's maybe a bigger picture that may be happening, and we all have to look at this and what's going to happen with capacity. We're struggling with capacity at the petrol level. At least, we're struggling to try to keep the price down. Now, personally, I think that's because of the event that's happening next month, and a little bit of politics is playing into that. They don't want it to look really bad. So, but ultimately, all of those things affect our pocketbook, and whether it's natural gas in this form, which is used for heating, It's also used for power generation. There are many coal plants that have been converted to natural gas, so this is needed. It's definitely needed. So watching a major supplier like this pull back and say, "Hey, we're not going to export. We're going to keep it for ourselves." That's definitely a change in tone, and it's also, there's another side of this. I know I'm running long on this. There's the other side that says, if you're starting to get into more heated conflicts or more heated tension that are about to build into conflicts, you definitely don't want to be giving away your resources. So you're going to start to pull those in. So these could be the early signs of someone like Xi starting to say, I'm going to hold on to these resources because we know we're about to get into a situation where we may need them.
Okay, and by the way, if you didn't watch Hoarding Supplies on Marfoogle News, Dex did a great job narrating it. It goes over all of the facts of how much they are hoarding. Dex, how much are they hoarding? I remembered it was like 65% of the world's wheat, right? Or is that flip-flopped around? There was two big numbers in that, which are absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's a really big number. They have, I have to look at my notes here. It was like 60-something% of the wheat and, hang on one second, I've got it right here.
I think it was 55%.
55% of the other. But, you know, when you think about the amount of the population that they have for the whole world, they only have 20, so they have 20% of the world's population. And they've stashed away 65% of the world's corn, 53% of the world's wheat.
Yeah,
That's
let me ask you this. Do you guys think that they stocked that up because of Taiwan? Do you think that that's because their huge battle that's coming up with Taiwan? I don't know. That seems like they're stocking up for a way bigger war than Taiwan. Okay, they're amphibious vehicles that they're making capable of crossing the ocean. I'm sorry. This is just not looking good for anybody. And people have wanted to deny this for as long as possible, and people are still going to say this is all overblown. How far is this going to get before you say otherwise? I mean, the entire world is involved, and this is all after 2019. And I just want to point out, I was talking about this on Twitter. It's crazy to me that they are still on lockdown, zero. They want 0 people to get that thing. And it's weird because it did come from, you know, the evidence says that it came from a place there, and they most likely know exactly what happened with that. And it makes you wonder, like, why don't they want any single person to get it? Almost as if later, if something was, you know, turned on or something, that everybody that has or have, you know, something weird is going on. Dex, go ahead.
Well, let's keep in mind, even if all they do is go into and invade Taiwan, that is going to turn everything into a world conflict, that alone, okay? Because we'll still have what's happening in UKR. We'll have something happening in Taiwan. That'll involve a lot of nations in that area, Japan and others. Australia, etc., with ourselves. So we're going to be split. We're going to be doing, it's going to be basically the truest of true definitions of WW3. But even if that was to happen, the reason they want to hoard all of this is because of the sanctions. Even if they just step foot on the land, the sanctions that will come on them, and they're saying that because they're looking at what happened to Vlad, right? As soon as he started that, boom, all these sanctions came in, and they couldn't trade. So they would lose their trade routes, or potentially could. So I think this is a big early warning sign, I think, to see, like, they're getting ready. They definitely know something's about to happen, and it's probably something they're going to do.
And this is like to the point where they've already done their pre-drills, right? Just like Vlad set up 160,000 soldiers on the border a year before, they already did their whole, surround the entire island thing. Once they start going there. And by the way, many of our ships have just deployed. A few people said, well, a lot of those supply ships, they are constantly getting switched out. Bones it was. But I said 25 of them. So from what I hear from Foogle Fam is like 25 different ships, and these ships are capable of basically supplying like a whole group, a whole battalion for 30 days of everything they need. And the word is that a bunch of those have deployed. A lot of this, if it is not, and again, I can't confirm that, a lot of this stuff is from webcams and people watching it leave. But what I can confirm is the deployments that they have done in just the last 2 weeks. One of the most advanced naval carriers with 9,000 Nato troops. You have us moving B-52 bombers. We have us doing nuclear exercises. We have Vlad doing nuclear exercises. Vlad and G have nuclear-capable everything almost all over the world now. You have ships posted outside of Alaska. You have ships posted outside of Hawaii of Vlad's. It's like all of this has kind of led up to a certain moment where it's kind of hard to deny what is going on right now. And most of the reason why it's hard to deny that any of this is connected, back from 2019, something was wrong. Something was happening even back then. And everybody started, all of this stocking up on things. All of the richest people. If you think that Mr. Gates is buying up farmland for no reason, if you think that he is building bunkers under every single one of his homes is on accident, or that maybe he thinks that, one day it will happen, it's like that guy, absolutely. If you don't think that he absolutely knows what is happening, then I don't know what to say. That guy is connected with everyone. Not only is connected with everyone, he has had G and his wife over for dinner. He had them in 2016, I think wife in 2016, G in 2019 or something. And there was one time where G canceled. They came to Seattle and closed down the whole place. Those were the same meetings where Mr. EpiPen and all of these other people, all of that kind of tier level, they all get together. And that they are connected. The amount of sway over the media that people like Mr. Gilly has, that is enough. And I think even just that alone, and people go, tinfoil hat. Look at what he's doing. I mean, the guy poses with pictures with the top 10 books you should read, and he's holding 3, and the middle one says Blackout, and it's a book about us losing all of our power. And then he makes quotes saying this next day that we all drop little pieces of paper in a box and pick our next prez. He's saying that will be hung, and that we will have a civil conflict. He used war, but again, he said we will. He didn't say we may. Those kind of quotes, just absolutely, people should be waking up by now. And for the longest time, I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to be the person that scare people. I'm not trying to. At this point, it's really hard to deny what is going on. If the writing is not on the wall, it's on your face. I mean, even if they are high-fiving, even if all of this is one big show, there is profit to be made in a huge thing and people go, well, how could they do that? Millions of lives would be lost. You're talking to people that are like, so. You have to realize we are not, and by we, I mean anybody that's making under $1 billion is the crap on the bottom of their shoe that they go, I had to deal with that today. I had to go in public and deal with them. That's how they look at us. They have people go out for them because they don't want to do those kind of things. They don't want to go into a shop and shop for themselves. They don't want to do anything by themselves. They want to have somebody serve them hand and foot. It's like I don't know how people aren't seeing what's happening. And then G indefinitely delays the release of third quarter economic stats. Dex, why do you think they would do that too? It doesn't make too much sense either.
Yeah, this is big in the sense that it's going to potentially, if they hold it for a long time, this is going to wreck some economic stuff. I think they're either hiding their numbers and they don't want the world to see that they didn't grow as great as they wanted to. But the downside to this is the number 2 economy of the world, right? This is huge. So for them not to publish their economics, like who doesn't do that? Everybody does that. This is like unheard of. So for them to hide, can you imagine how much money around the world is invested in Xi's country or in things that are related to or integrated with or doing some sort of business with that, it creates a ton of turmoil and volatility around that thought process of what are they doing with their money? Should we have our money in there? Should those companies be worth what they're worth? Et cetera, et cetera. So from an economic standpoint, this is kind of a big deal. So it's interesting. This comes on the heels of the meeting, the big speech he gave, the changes that we're expecting to see potentially coming out. The fact that, it looks like they're setting up for something. We've heard a lot of other activities going on. So this just is one more piece. And I think we'll talk about it in just a minute too. There's the other side, which is the technology angle. So all of these things are sort of coming to a head. You've got the financial, you've got the technology. We've got Taiwan specifically. We've got the hoarding. We've got the pulling back of resources. I mean, this is looking kind of very sinister and crazy at the moment.
It is looking grim. That's what it's looking like. Did they just spend a ton of money just this one quarter? Do you think it changed massively, like they just lost all their money over the last quarter? Well, actually, that could be. Maybe they spent it. Maybe they just did a massive, massive speed build of something. Maybe they just had all of their factories. And again, we talked about this, their technology sector, which was making all these manufacturing all sorts of things, that just basically closed down. All these places closed down. And what's funny is they were saying, it was related to the CV, which most people around the world that are walking around, no effects at all. They're like, that's weird. Of course, the excuse is, well, they didn't do the same kind of in their arms that we did. So maybe that's why it's so serious, because they're not going to do the M and the R and the N and the A. Maybe that's why, right? At least that's what people will say. There's an explanation for everything, right? And that's why they don't want to have any, right? At the same time, people are inside their homes. They don't know what's going on outside of it, or when they are outside, they have little limitations to pretty much everything they're doing. They are being tracked by facial recognition. They're being tracked everywhere they go. It's the worst surveillance state in the world. And then when they closed down these markets, it was at the same time that Vlad was closing down his. Vlad was doing it and very publicly saying, this cotton swab, company. By the way, the government wants you to stop making cotton swabs, and I need you to start making ammo. At the same time, over there, they had these mysterious closings. And by the way, they weren't mysterious because they were saying, it was under the guise of, we've got this thing going on, and we can't have a single case, right? Something doesn't add up, okay? And when you have all of that going on, did they just build 10,000 tanks in 4 months or something? You don't know. The thing is they have mass-produced things so fast that just in a short amount of time, if you remember, if you heard the stat that more money was printed in just a few months' time period than has ever been printed in all of history of the U.S., right? And people are like, whoa, and that's crazy to think about. That much money being printed in that short amount of time. Think about how they went from whatever number they were, largest Navy, to all of a sudden there was a stat that came out, and it was like overnight, it was like they're the second largest, they were the second for like a day. They're the first largest. They are the largest Navy in the world. And then we told you they are trying to do the Air Force as well. And guess what? More news has come out, more confirmation, even from their mouths, saying that they're going to be the biggest Air Force and that they were going to, obviously, they have the biggest ground force. There was news that they surpassed us in AI and in technology and in autonomous drones. And then we see them releasing carriers with autonomous drone fleets, right? And then on top of that, one thing that they're very good at is infiltration and spying. It just so happens they opened up 30 countries, these police stations that help people with paperwork. But the story is, because everybody is suspicious, so they're like, they're suspicious, so we got to give them something evil. They say, the rumor is that they're trying to coerce people to go back to Xi's country. right? Because that's based on, oh, well, their economy's doing bad and they need these people back to go back to work or do whatever, or give their taxes in or whatever. Sounds to me like they're setting up in all of these different countries. And again, and I can't find anywhere. I can't find verification of what exact locations in every single country they've done these police stations in. But one of them popped up in New York, and now GOP lawmakers are asking, like, what is the deal with this? But do those line up with NATO countries? Because it would just be kind of weird if they opened up in 30 countries and they just happened to all be the 30 NATO members. I would think that was weird, wouldn't you? And again, we haven't confirmed that because it's really hard to get information on that. If you can find that, let me know. I would love to have that information. But other than that, people have been saying for years, oh, you've been saying, world conflict would come for 5 years. Yeah, because these things don't happen overnight. This is world domination kind of power exchanges right now. They're talking in their speech saying to the whole world, we're going to be the number one. You won't have to deal with the U.S. anymore. And look at what's happened to the U.S. Do you think that anybody had a hand in how drastic our culture changed overnight? I mean, it is overnight because if you look at it in the span of our lifetimes, it's like all of a sudden everything has changed. And most people are saying it's because we're just and moral and when if in reality the opposite of that is true. Everything is immoral, everything is backwards, everything is just like overnight it's biblical. It's absolutely biblical. I mean, down to our prez doing this. Oh my gosh. I don't even want to talk about that speech with the all red and everything. And I'm thinking, gosh, is this like a symbol to, was that like secret nod? Like, you know what I mean? Oh, it's just freaking creepy. Who else has that much red behind them? And then American technology boosts China's hypersonic missile program. Dex, what do they mean by this? What do they mean that this technology boosts it?
Well, apparently the technology needed for their hypersonics is not something that they've actually been able to learn themselves. It's not something they've developed on their own. They've actually learned it from the programs in the U.S. So the students that have come here, the programs that have been run here for other components and things like that, and R&D projects and stuff that are done in the U.S., a lot of times they have participated, or their students have participated, and that knowledge that we're spending and doing here in the U.S., because we're the ones with this technology, they're taking it back to Xi's country, and that's how they're building their hypersonic capabilities. It's coming from the U.S. It's coming from what they're learning here. And it was actually stated by one of the scientists. It says, yeah, a lot of the work we're doing, we just couldn't do if it wasn't for U.S. technology.
Isn't that just grand? By the way, before the show even started, several people popped in. I want to thank, big thank you to Kenny Crowder. One, because you've been here for now years. You're one of my first subscribers. And you continue to stop in and say hi. You continue to support our channel. Thank you for supporting Independent. Oh, man. Look at all this. So this is definitely active. Okay. So Kenny Crowder says, thank you, Adam Dex and Best Mods on YouTube. To the Foogle fam, stay safe. Love your way. Kenny Crowder, thank you. Redeem says, haven't been able to catch the live shows lately. Glad to be here tonight. Thanks to you and Dex for all you do. Thank you so much. Bible Talk 777, thank you as well. I appreciate that. Kenny Crowder, have a wonderful show, Adam Dex and the Best Mods. I appreciate that. Stephen McMahon, whoever is Joe's handler, has put a sanction on chip makers outrightly declaring conflict. Stephen McMahon will cover that as far as the Schneider stuff on Twitter. Really crazy stuff if that is true. Stephen McMahon, really, really insane moves being done, and that's why that is yet another sign that things are about to move really fast. This is why we have told people to, Do it yourself if you have to. Definitely have more than 3 days of food just in case. Stephen Mann, engineers working for chip makers in Xi's country were told, give up your American citizenship or quit your job. We'll talk about that here in a second. And again, great comment, Stephen McMahon. And then just sent 2 vids, military plane, zigzag, Tifton, Georgia, Alex Hawkins. How did you do those 2 vids? If you did them through marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo, we might be able to get it on. And then NS-909, Mr. Nutzsack 909. Putin has deployed 11 supersonic bombers 20 miles away from NATO border. They moved it to Norway's border. Yes, we will talk about that as well. That is all, and I covered that on our other show, that on top of the other drills going on the other side. And then G10, thank you for your support. It's nice to see you. Nice to, again, have you here tonight. Mary Tyndall says, save the children. Thank you. And Bible Talk 777 says, the government is our enemy. So is half our country. Together we can build enough gallows. Bible Talk, part of that, though, is manufactured because who do you think put us against each other, right? It's pretty sad. And then Apple forced to cancel plans to buy memory chips from Xi after President B's crackdown. Dex, you actually, being our Apple expert, our Apple fan, was this a huge deal, especially for Apple to do something against their will?
Well, I think this is just an example. The point is that we've shut down the chip imports from and anybody allowed to work with the chips and technology coming from Xi's country. So this is one example of that where they're used, and this isn't the only place they're used. They're used everywhere. Especially something like memory. But this is one example where memory chips, were purchased, and a major company like Apple, who produces a whole lot of technology and a whole lot of, in this example, iPhones, is going to have to buy their chips somewhere else. They're not allowed to buy them anymore because of this new sanction that's been put in place. So this is a pretty significant sanction when you think about that. When we think about sanctions on natural resources like gas and oil, stuff like that. This is technology. When I was talking about the tech side earlier, this is what I meant. This sanction that's going in place now is really going to hit Xi hard, and it's going to, it's almost like fighting words, to be honest. I mean, I think somebody said it in chat. This could be, one of the things that just takes it to the next level of, hey, you can't not, we have to be able to get this stuff out. We have to produce this. It's a big component of their economy and what they manufacture. So this is going to hit them hard.
And so this might, Dex, did you get the Twitter stuff I sent you for the Jordan Schneider stuff? Do we have that in web only?
I can throw it on the web.
Okay. So what they are stating is, from possibly part of this and some other things that they were doing, is they're saying the claim is that the president is basically putting this thing out saying, if you are working in their chip factories, you either work there or you have U.S. citizenship. You can't have both. So basically saying, if you're working there, you're losing your American citizenship. And a lot of people are like, is that even legal? Some are saying that it is because of a national security kind of loophole or something. I don't know. Again, I don't know enough about it to judge on that. I know that, Canadian Prepper also pointed that out yesterday or the day before. And it's true. I think many of us are sitting here like, is that even possible? But that was a check mark on Twitter, who put out an entire thread, and it went viral yesterday or the night before. And it was a big deal, because if that is true, I don't know. There might be some credence here, because this came out, I believe, after that did. So, again, we'll put that on the website. Let you judge for yourself. You can go to the tweet and to the entire thread. Goes over all of it. That would basically really, really hurt their chip manufacturing a huge amount. Unless all these Americans are like, no, I'll just go home. I don't know if they're allowed. All right, before we move on to Xi urges all citizens to get out, I do want to remind everybody, if you haven't already, if you are worried at all about an EMP, then I'd highly recommend looking at an EMP Shield. EMP is one of the scenarios that we've talked about many times because there are multiple countries that are actually able to do this. And almost all of those right now have been extremely active in threatening to do so or to do something to us. And this is really the most likely out of some of the crazier scenarios because no one directly perishes from it. You have to respond in kind in most of these situations. So say if somebody sends a conventional thing, hits one of our buildings, we can't just destroy their entire country. If they EMP us, the natural response is to do something cyber back to them. You wouldn't just nuke their whole country. So this one is something that would be, I guess, safer for them to do, especially if they are protected and we are not. Right now, the U.S. grid is extremely vulnerable, so much so that our previous president signed an emergency executive order to immediately harden our grid. After he saw how vulnerable it was, he was absolutely shocked. Part of that actual executive order was undone along with a ton of others, which made a lot of people question. They were like, this isn't even a political one. This is something that would help everybody, and it had bipartisan support. Anyways, it is parts of that are still in. Like EMP Shield has said, they are now still working with a ton of the government, and they are on the Dempster team helping protect the Texas grid. But we are years away from being, completely good on this. And again, I don't even think they know how long it will take to actually get our grid to that point. Here's one thing to think about. The government, they are not going to come save you if all the lights go out. They will protect themselves with basically the same technology. They will have their government buildings. They will have their military bases protected, but they're not going to come out and help you protect your house. You have to do that. You can get this device not only for your home, but you can, the most popular one is for your car. So if you work far from home and you have thought about this scenario, if you wire one of these in, it takes about 10 minutes. Anybody can do it. It's about 3 wires and it's done. You will be protecting yourself and you'll get home. If you're 5, 10, 15, 50 miles away from home, your car's not going to stop when an EMP hits. It's actually going to ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it's able to fry your car. So make sure to go over and check it out. You can also get it for your trucks, your boats, your RVs, your motorcycles. If your plan is to bug out on a motorcycle, they have one for pretty much everything that you want to keep running after an EMP, and more importantly, a CME. Coronal mass ejection, a Carrington level event, will happen again. It is a matter of time. It's not a matter of if. So again, you can go protect yourself and all of your devices from that. Marfooglenews.com/EMP. Not only will you get $50 off per device, so if you get, all of your cars covered, you'll get $50 off per device, but that will stack on top of any sale they are doing, and you're helping our independent channel at the same time as protecting yourself. It's 100% American made. It's veteran-owned business. Don't really need to tell you much else than that because, honestly, at this point, I'm sure most people understand why protecting yourself and prepping is an important ordeal. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. All right. And then DEX. So now they're urging, and I talked about this on my Marfoogle News video, it's not only Xi, it's all of the stands, Kazakhstan, blah, 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 Stan, all of the stands are telling their citizens to get out. And Xi's foreign minister actually did some sort of call, and everybody was trying to sign up for evacuations. Why? And why are there dates involved in this? A lot of people are saying that they needed certain things to be done by the 18th. Nobody knows if there's an absolute concrete situation that's happening after that. But a lot of folks are talking about it. And almost all my peers are like saying, hey, this is about to move real fast. What do you think about this as far as them evacuating UKR? This isn't like our media doing this. This is their countries personally, calling them and saying, get out.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to say. This is not, we've heard of all the other countries saying this over the last 6 months at various times and repeating it or bringing it back to the forefront, saying, "Hey, things are getting bad. Everybody should be out. If you're still there, get out." But now what we're seeing is the ally, Vlad's ally, who he just spent a lot of time meeting with. They do a lot of planning with. And he's coming out and explicitly saying to their citizens and urging them to get out and get out quickly. That should tell you that something, they understand something is coming. They understand either a greater level of escalation or a greater level of conflict. Technology is going to be deployed, and they don't want to be part of it, or they don't want their people to be caught in it. So it looks, to me that seems what the clear message is, and I think that's why they're putting it out, because they know something is about to happen.
And it says, with the current grim security situation in UKR, Xi's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and embassy in UKR on Saturday urged any citizens to leave the country and enhance safety precautions and evacuate. The embassy will assist in organizing the evacuation of people in need, the Global Times tweeted. So they are saying, and this is the thing, when it, Fox, CNN, and all these other ones, you don't know if it's just saying it to hype things up or whatever. This is all of these countries privately going, get out now, get out now. And think about it. The only, publicly, our people, the U.S. wouldn't say, oh, we're about to, tear this place up, get out, because technically they're not the ones, well, we don't know, but they're not the ones dropping boom booms all over UKR. That would be on Vlad's side. So if Vlad was going to do something, did he just give up give his allies a heads up saying we're about to kick this up a notch? I don't know. But when you look at his speech, he's saying and quoting and saying, this mobilization will be over in 2 weeks. And some are taking that as in like, oh, don't worry about it. In 2 weeks, this is going to be done. That's why people are really on edge right now. Like seems like this isn't just like close, that this is something that is materializing extremely fast. And this is after all the slow, day by day, we've been covering every single day. There has been some sort of escalation that brings another country in. Think about this. What did it take at the very beginning of this for, Finland and Sweden? Weren't those the two countries that have been historically neutral, and they're trying to join NATO? I mean, isn't that a big deal for these historically neutral countries to join it or to try to join it? What do you think, Dex?
Well, yeah, it's certainly. I think that would make sense. I don't know that when you look at statements like this, it's coming from their ally. You've got to sort of take it at face value, right?
And that's how many people are. And then we have Belarus says it is to host just under 9,000 Vladian troops. Funny, we had NATO send out 9,000 troops. Now Vlad is sending out 9,000 troops. The defense ministry in Minsk on Sunday said that just under 9,000 Vlad troops would be stationed in Belarus as part of a regional grouping of forces to protect its borders. The first troop trains with Vlad servicemen who are part of the regional grouping began to arrive in Belarus. Valery Yavenko, head of the Defense Ministry's International Military Cooperation Department, wrote on Twitter, the relocation will take several days. The total number will be a little less than 9,000 people. So something is definitely brewing, and this is around the same time, is in the same 48 hours that we found out all of this other stuff, like they're moving all of these nuclear kind of things going on there. And then on the other side, if they have any intelligence at all, you could say that that's why all of these other places, what was it, Moldova, Poland, Finland, other places are actually handing out iodide tablets, being scared of a nuclear event. Everybody's talking about nuclear. Is this like what it was back in the day where they said, oh, all this hype about nuclear and then nothing ever happens? I guess if you're not worried about it, then you're kind of betting that nothing will happen. And then economist Nordvpn says, in some sense, WW3 has already started. It says President Vlad Putin's refusal to rule out tactical nuclear weapons in Vlad's war against UKR put much of the world on edge last month. But economist Nordvpn says a nuclear escalation of the nearly 8-month conflict could mark just the start of a global battle. The world could also see nuclear conflict in the I country, and most worrying for the U.S., around Xi's fight for Taiwan. It says that the Rubini, who is dubbed Dr. Doom after the realization his dire predictions, including the 2008 housing crisis that sparked the Great Recession. It says the New York University business professor contends a Cold War already exists between the U.S. and China, and that it could escalate into a hot war as President Xi aims to unite Xi's country and Taiwan. Rubini appeared on Monday at Yahoo Finance's 2022 All Markets Summit ahead of the release of his book, Mega Threats, 10 Dangerous Threats That Imperil Our Future and How to Survive Them. This was a good quote. In some sense, WW3 has already started. Rubini says it started in UKR because this conflict has broader implications that will go well beyond Russia and Ukraine. It is the beginning of something else. How many of you think that that UKR was just the beginning, just the straw that broke the camel's back, the thing that triggered everything we have been talking about for years? How many of you think that this is the straw that breaks it? How many of you think, oh, it will all go back to normal? I'd love to hear you in chat, and again, I'll try to pop it up. How many of you, I would love for you to participate, how many of you believe that UKR was the start of WW3? And by the way, it kind of brings you back to that German politician says, everybody will remember where we were on February 24th, even though he said September 24th. Donna Gagney, what is going on? It's nice to see you, Charity Sullivan. Doomsday, we've got Aaron Thomas. Kano's Kid. By the way, I saw that 90s kid in here after a long, long time. Thanks for stopping by, man. Miss Dragon, Ant. I think it was 90s kid Ant. Paul Simpson, what is happening? Gold. We have East Tennessee Preparedness. Nice to see you. Solid Paul, what's happening? Ryan Alter. Somebody said meow. I don't know if that was answering the question per se, but you may identify as a cat. I don't know. Is that yes or no, or is it no? I don't know. I know my cats are against it. I know during the cat food shortage of 2020, now they're political. They're totally against the conflict. They know that there will be no more fancy feast. And then NATO begins nuclear exercises amid Russia war tensions. Dex, do you want to talk about this? NATO has now begun its annual nuclear exercise. Again, if you want a short version of what we've been talking about as far as the really, really tip-top stories here, you can share the video that I did earlier on Marfoogle News. It's about 15 minutes, I think, at most, and that goes over all of the really crazy stuff. If you have a friend that you're trying to convince that something is going on, then send them that. Dex, what do you think about this?
Certainly, this is what we've been talking about for about a week and a half now. That this day was going to start. It's going to be a long period of time, about 2 weeks long, which is pretty long for especially given the
2
nature
weeks,
of what's happening right now. Yeah, at least till the end of the month, they said. So this is happening like 600 miles away from the border of Vlad's country. Vlad is also doing his own nuclear drills at the same time. We are using long-range B-52s. We're using up to 60 aircraft. It doesn't say exactly, and I don't think they've released the number of which types of craft we're using. I'm sure we'll probably have other boomers as well, like some of the stealth and whatnot, will probably be part of it, but they didn't say. But they did say the B-52s, because they're going to be flying out of a couple of different locations in Europe and all the way over here from Minot. I believe we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 58 operating B-52s total with active forces, and another 18 in reserve with the 307th. And I think there's about 12 that are in long-term storage in the boneyard. So if you think about it, we don't have a lot of the B-52s. I think we built like 744 of them back in the day, and a lot of them have been replaced. But those are the big, massive ones, and they're planning. I think they're planning to remain in not in production, but in service. I guess in production, not being built, but remain in service all the way to 2050. And they're not going away anytime soon. But they're a critical part of our nuclear strike capability. So that's what's probably most concerning, is while we're at this very hot tensionous point with the West and Vlad's country, with Vlad threatening nukes, with Vlad putting his own nuclear boomers on the border near Finland, right there within 20 miles, with them doing their own drills starting at this exact same time, and we're launching ours at the same time. And we're definitely using one of the key aircrafts that are used in this, and they haven't announced what the other ones are, but we can just assume it would be some of the others. It's kind of a tense moment, right?
Vlad is saying the mobilization will end in 2 weeks, and they're saying that this is going to end in 2 weeks, right? Like, everybody's on this like 2 week timeline. I'm sure, hopefully it will be, just 2 weeks will fly by and nothing will happen. But there's always the chance, and that's what we're looking at here. Look at everything that is going on at the same time. It's hard to say that that you can't think that when look at what Xi just did. Look at what they're saying that we just did to their chip factory. You think back, and it almost makes more sense. Everything that the president was saying, like, oh, everything's going to go back to Made in America. Why? Maybe because it's going to have to be. Every little thing that has happened up until now, it's starting to really come together. Somebody else is pulling strings here, and I don't know if it's Xi or some of these companies that are about to take over the world with electric or whatever. I don't know. But I do know that it is definitely not getting better, and it's really, really, really hard to deny that things are heating up right now. So, by the way, Carol, thank you for responding to that. A lot of people believe that this is the start. Tales of the Blue-Eyed Indian. Oh, you don't have to do that. Joseph Newhouse, good vibes. Thank you. Sean Samuels. Mark Might, when small to medium surface-to-air missile corps want to test their new gear, UKR should welcome them with open arms. Ryan Alter, Doomsday, hopefully USA Russia is just testing their army and might a bit. What was that? And don't go to conflict. Normally, conventionally, Vlad will lose. Yeah, Captain Scotty, Dragon Day. I don't know if you noticed I popped that up. But isn't that freaky? The whole plot of that is that the chips end up shutting everything down. And now we're not taking any chips. We're not dealing with any kind of chips from Xi's country. Okay. Like, this is straight up out of a movie. And then Xi's country is straight up out of Songbird. Did you guys watch Songbird? That was the name of Songbird, right? It was Songbird. That was the movie about a CV-23. It was taking and it came out during CV. It was like 6 months into it. They already had that movie made. And Songbird had this plot of that in 5 years from now, or in 2023, that it had morphed into something so bad that everybody was virtual, that everybody had to stay at home. You couldn't travel unless you were immune. All sorts of crazy stuff. It's like Xi's country is like that. You have to have a green code to go shopping. You have to jump through hoops. You have to get wristbands. Bus drivers have wristbands that even can tell them how they are feeling, if they're happy. Pretty crazy. Somebody said, get your electrolytes. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see, a rumble in a temple. Soon you won't be able to leave the USA. Well, maybe that's why so many rich are getting Plan B visas. Let's see, One Sun Observer, Northern Girl Hobbies, thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you for showing up a lot. Songbird also had a whole bunch of people in siege camps. Yes, that's right. Hey, Phoebes, how are you? Little birds tell secrets in their song. Backass words, weird world. That is right. All right, and then let's see. All right, before we move on, we're going to talk about the actual strikes that just happened. I do want to remind everybody, if you are looking to where to get long-term survival food, first of all, most of you, I would say, first, before you do anything like this, is to try to get yourself prepped with water. Try to get all of the stuff that you eat on a daily basis, and try to do that on your own. This is actually a suggestion that I learned from Alaska Prepper a long time ago. Basically, get the things that you really do eat every day and try to get a bunch of those. On top of that, it would be a good thing to have, again, 25-year shelf life food, long-term survival food that's sealed and that's put away. Now, this is probably later on in the prep stages, but if you do feel like it's prudent to do it sooner than later, which most people do at this point, I'd highly recommend going to marfooglenews.com/prep. The reason why is you're going to get 20% off on certain packages, like the 3-month package. Everyone should have at least 3 months of food. And then again, that doesn't have to be from one of these kits. You can do it yourself. You can make your own. But it is a lot of work to actually do it. And if you want freeze-dried food that will last 25 plus years shelf life, you really got to know what you're doing. These guys know what they're doing, and it's all pre-packaged, so you basically have everything you need for, however many months. You can actually get a 72-hour kit. You can get, if you want, you can just get a single meal. A lot of people have been just getting, a meal at a time, or they'll set aside a certain amount and then spend that. You can do that as well. I know people that, every payday they'll just get a couple MREs. But again, their real good deals are in their buckets and in their packages. That has, a 2,000 calorie diet that it's based off of, and it has the food that will get by. Again, they also have other stuff there. The really, really awesome product over there is the Alexa Pure Pro, which is a gravity-fed water filtration system. That is also there at marfooglenews.com/prep. And then if you are looking for a source of where to go for iodide tablets or iodide potassium iodide, they have that there as well when it's in stock. I know that everyone is running out of that, and Alibaba and AliExpress even stopped selling it altogether, which is also weird. Dex, I didn't think about that. Xi's country stopped selling iodide potassium tablets. That's just kind of weird to me.
Surprising.
Just recently, in the last week or so. It's kind of creepy if you think about it. Now, looking fast forward, they're going to stop selling gas. They have hoarded 65% of the world's wheat, 55% of the world's corn. It's like they're preparing for something. No, it's just all nothing. Nothing's going to happen. Those are the best, though. I can see why people with a really smart argument, but the people that just say, no, nothing's going to happen as always, the sky's not going to fall, or something like that. It's like, okay, what's the argument, though? Do you have a debate of why it's not? It's hard to prove that something isn't going to happen at this point. Pretty easy to show that it is. And then how Iranian kamikaze drones could help turn the tide of conflict in Vlad's favor. It says, in 1944, residents of southeast England learnt to dread the stuttering growl of primitive pulse jet engines, the sound of the V-1 flying boom booms. Today, Ukrainians are becoming familiar with the sound of a new doodlebug, the Iranian Shahed 136 kamikaze drone. The distinctive whine of their cheap petrol engines has already seen it dubbed the moped by UKR frontline soldiers. Now, there's currently videos of people actually taking, shotties and trying to knock them out of the air. People with AKs, like, trying to get them. The thing is these can actually do a relatively good job gliding, even if they've been, have a ton of holes in them. They will still get very close to the target. In fact, when they tested these in the iCountry, they showed that even half of the wing was knocked off, and the thing still somehow hit its target. So these things are potentially, they're basically remote controlled boom booms, and they have a very large wing surface. They glide very fast. The bad thing about these, I would think, is how visible they are. If they are as visible as they say they are, and they make that noise, you would think that they would, I guess it would be too expensive if you did it electric. But think about this. If they make these electric, you wouldn't hear them coming. It would just be, boom, you're done. It would be as quiet as a bird. Dex, now the pictures and stuff were a little deceiving at first because you didn't know how big it was, but the pictures made it look like it was, like ground zero in 2001. But it did hit some pretty important places.
Yeah, it certainly did. There was a lot of locations, and this is happening so often that people are getting accustomed to, or at least learning what the sounds of these things are. So that's kind of crazy. But more than just these drones, I think in our next article, there's an image that shows one of the planes, and I don't know, and you can see the parachuter, but that plane basically went directly into a building. So it's kind of pretty significant.
That almost looks, how is that real? How would somebody get that photo? Look at that. Look at how clear you can see somebody parachuting out, somebody ejected out of the plane. And then what does that guy do? Does he land at a coffee shop and say, can I get a quad white chocolate mocha? I guess he's a POW now, or did they have somebody swoop him back up? What I want to know is, if you see something like this, okay, shouldn't the news be asking, like, okay, so where's the pilot? And did they question him? Did he do this on purpose? Did they have an older plane that basically was useless for dogfights? They're like, just smash it in there, eject before you hit it. I don't know. And they say it's an apartment building. And they also say, I believe they say 4 perished because of this, or no? Do we have? Yeah, took the life of at least 4 people, and injuring more than 24 others. Was nobody home? Like, look at the size of that blast. I guess that looks, I guess that could, judging by it, those are each floor. They're separated. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like it's affecting 20 different units. Who knows though? Maybe the whole thing's concrete or something, and it wasn't as bad as it looks. But that fireball looks pretty insane. Look at that. And then you can see they did the classic red circle, as if you couldn't see that normally. Kind of weird. Wouldn't half of this be super dark from the shadow? Light on this side, dark. There's a tiny bit of shadow. Maybe it's just so bright. It looks like if he was right here, I guess the blast is so big that it's kind of enveloping. I'm sure people are questioning that. Wow, what a trip. And then ex-journalist accused of news on UKR conflict has fled Russia. Dex, do you want to cover this one? I'll get the next.
This is the famous reporter that jumped onto the screen with a big sign basically saying, hey, don't believe it. This was back in March, I believe, saying don't believe it, or it's not really happening, or they're lying to you, and was basically under house arrest for that. And that was about the time they came out and said, hey, ever in Vlad's country, anybody that says anything about this, if you're not speaking what we want you to speak, then, or, doing fake, then if they do that, you can be prosecuted. So she's been under house arrest, and apparently she snuck out and got across the border and is now being helped by the West.
Yeah, it says she's under the protection of a European state. So she's basically somebody else is harboring her. It says it may turn out to be a problem to elaborate on what happened. So not stating on exactly what the circumstances are. And then NASA's Earthbound asteroid probe successfully performs first course correction maneuver. So we actually have some pretty interesting stuff here. Go ahead, Dex.
Adam, I was going to say I have an update from a Fugel fam member that was talking to us in chat, and I put it in screener if you want to load that up. It's pertaining to a sensitive location that's potentially on fire.
Oh, weird. Okay. All right, let's get this link over. Thank you, by the way. And it looks like this is... So are these your are these his personal or her personal?
Some of these are all from maps. Some of them I took, and some of them he sent or they sent. I don't know, he or she. It's Auto Reviver is the screen name, and thank you for sending this. So, just the short version of this is Jim Creek Naval Radio Station. It showed up on the fire map, and for those who aren't familiar with Jim Creek Naval Radio Station,
that was the target.
It's the low transmission radio signal that's huge. When you see the pictures, there's a round area of clearing. That's because there's all of these wires that are strung up, so it can send these very, very low frequency radio waves. This is one of two, but it's one of the main locations that communicates with the subs of the Pacific Fleet.
Whoa. Do you remember that was one of the only... oh man, that was one of the target names that Russia TV put out just a few days ago. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think it was Reuters that put that out, and
yeah,
it was one of those locations. But what's happened, and I don't know if it's natural. I mean, it could easily just be coincidental as a natural fire there, because fires do happen in the woods, right? But it's very suspicious, or at least very concerning, that this is the location that is going to be commanding and sending the information to our Pacific Fleet. So if you can show those pictures and information on the radio station, I've got that all in that folder for you.
Oh, yeah. I'm showing it right now. Hold on. So this is Jim Creek Naval Station, right?
Yeah, that round area is the clearing where a lot of the antenna wires are running.
And I just want to show you. Let's see. Yeah, and you remember the other day, I said, oh, one of them's by me, and it was the Jim Creek Naval Station. Let's see here. Yeah, look at this. There was only 5 things that the Russian media put out, and one of them was Jim Creek.
Well, and that's because it controls our subfleet in the Pacific, and obviously our subfleet is, one of their biggest concerns, if not the biggest concern, from a nuclear point of view.
When was this put out?
So this is on fire. So there's a link if you want that just has an update on the fires in that general area, but this fire was sent to us from Auto Reviver, at least the heat signature that he saw there, but you can also go to any of the fire maps. You'll see there's fires all in that area, as well as an article link I gave you that talks just about the general Jim Creek fire updates, because there are fires happening in that area. So this is command and control, so to speak, for the subs.
Wow. Good catch. Good catch. Really appreciate that. Thank you for sending that to us. That's local by me. We have been having fires all over the place, and like Chance Paladin, one of my mods, he's local here too. He actually writes fiction and nonfiction about kind of end of the world scenarios, based in the Northwest. But as he said the other night, the wind picked up, and I don't know if you saw how we have this crazy airstream, but we just had an 88-degree day yesterday in October. It broke a record again, and there's always records broken every year. But 88, it was nearly 90 degrees in October. It should be like 40 degrees and chilly. So really, really odd stuff is happening all over the place. And then NASA's Earthbound asteroid probe successfully performs first course correction maneuver. This was, by the way, I talked about this the other day because OSIRIS-REx, which you might know the name of, I've talked about it a bunch. OSIRIS-REx is now going to turn into OSIRIS-APEX. And it is going to try to land, or I'm sorry, I think it's going to try to follow Apophis when it comes by in 2029. It says NASA's OSIRIS-REx spacecraft has a special package for Earth, rocky samples from one of the most ancient objects in the universe. This is from the other one the first one. It says rocky samples from one of the most ancient objects in the universe. The probe snagged the sample from asteroid Bennu in October of 2020 and has been making its way for an Earth drop-off ever since. It says to keep it on track, NASA recently executed the spacecraft first course correction maneuver by altering its trajectory towards our planet. It says the OSIRIS-REx mission is scheduled to deliver samples from asteroid Bennu on September 24th, 2023. It says the plan is the spacecraft is to, and look at the date, September 24th. Everyone will remember where they are. It says the plan is for the spacecraft to drop off its precious cargo during the scheduled flyby, after which the capsule will containing the asteroid samples will perform a parachute-assisted landing at the Air Force Utah Test and Training Range in the Great Salt Lake Desert. So this thing basically went to Bennu, took a sample of it, and is bringing it back. Many don't know that OSIRIS-REx will then go on to be OSIRIS-APEX, and that is Apophis Explorer. APEX standing for Osiris Apophis Explorer. And it is supposed to be a part of a mission that will actually continue on, and they will do a $200 million extension that will then try to meet up with Apophis. On top of that, Apophis being the Greek god of death and destruction or whatever, Apophis is also going to be visited by almost every country with the space program. Because Apophis, originally, when they first found it, they said, this is going to hit Earth. And then after a little bit, a lot of people were freaking out. Way more people reacted than they thought were going to react to, like, hey, this is going to hit Earth. Then they followed it. They got a brief glimpse of it with another radar system, and they said, oh, well, don't worry. We tracked it again, and it actually looks like it's going to miss. But they say it's going to come so low that it's going to be under geostationary satellites. So it will actually be under the satellites that provide your cell phone, all of the other stuff that's going on, your TV, satellite, all that. So when that comes by, they're saying publicly that it's going to be an opportunity, and it's going to be one of the largest asteroids to ever come this close to Earth for them to go visit it, right? If Apophis hits, which I don't know how something that big is going under geostationary satellites and gravity is not going to pull it in and have it land, but they say if it does land, it would be slightly bigger than the Chicxulub, which wiped out the dinosaurs. Freaky, right? And they're going to try to track it because they are trying to figure out what its future course will be and really narrow it down and get its path for thousands of years, hopefully. So be able to do that. At the same time, they just did the DART, where they successfully knocked an asteroid slightly off course. It just makes you think, like, is something else heading our way? I don't know. But I definitely have a lot of questions. And I do find it, a lot of people did not know that OSIRIS-REx is going to be OSIRIS-APEX, which is pretty freaky. And then Kanye West is buying conservative social media platform Parler, company says. Not really surprised by this, especially with what just happened to him. Banks and other things cut ties with him. It says controversial social media networking site Parler says it is being acquired by Kanye West. So we have all of the cowboys buying different platforms here. It says a favorite among American conservatives made the announcement on a blog post on Monday. It says West, who now goes by the name Ye. These artists are so, man, like, these aren't normal people. Said in a statement, in a world where conservative opinions are considered to be controversial, we have to make sure that we are on the right to freely express ourselves. I definitely see that. I agree with Kanye. What? Well, wait a second. If it's Kanye, wouldn't it be, instead of Ye, wouldn't it be Ye? And isn't that like a nickname for Coke? What's up? I'm Coke. Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, and I predict soon this will be removed from the App Store, if it's not already.
Yeah, so sign up for Parler just to sign up for something else. And that's the messed up part. Any app that goes against the way, or if they bring on somebody controversial and they don't get rid of them, or if they don't monitor their stuff, this could be the setup for that, right? Then they get removed from the App Store, and then they virtually, they're gone. Isn't that crazy? How are they able to do this stuff? They don't need a monopoly to be able to control things because they have a... I guess what board game are you friends with everybody? I don't know. There's an analogy there somewhere. And then even trippier, massive energy beam pointed at Earth appears to break the laws of physics. And a lot of I don't think it does show, one of the photos that's actually in the article shows this like massive laser beam looking like it's hitting Earth. I'm sure it doesn't look exactly like that, but it says abstract breaks down mind-bending scientific research, future tech, new discoveries. It says an intense jet of energy in space appears to be traveling 7 times faster than the speed of light. 7 times faster than the speed of light. So it's time traveling, by the way. Dex, doesn't that mean it's time traveling if it's going faster than that light is going?
That if it were true, that's what it means. But
yeah.
A
feat is considered physically impossible in our universe, though this rapid pace is only an optical illusion, according to a new study. It still represents a blast of energy shooting towards us at very nearly the speed of light. How is it an optical illusion, and how would we even see something the speed of light? How can we tell something is going the speed of light? Is there a way to do that? How do they compare it? Did they look at something and then see it going past it? And then this energy thing, which again, it says the Hubble Space Telescope has captured incredible views of the jet, which was ignited by an unprecedented collision between 2 hyperdense objects called neutron stars that led to one of the most important breakthroughs in astronomical history at the time it was discovered in 2017. It says, well, the jet did not actually break the cosmic speed limit. It raced right up to the edge of this impassable threshold, reaching at least 99.997% of the speed of light, which translates into about 670 million miles per hour. Scientists led by Kunal Muli, an astrophysicist, said that it says that used Hubble and other telescopes to clock the jet's superluminal motion, meaning the trippy illusion of faster than light speed. I don't get how it even looks like it's faster than light, and how that works. But again, I'm not an astrophysicist.
I think what's more worrisome or more interesting is, why would this beam of energy, as we think of beams of energy are used for lots of different things, is all of a sudden pointed at us? And sure, they may have an explanation of two neutron stars, but did something else do this? That's kind of, when I read this and think about that, that's just sort of like, if they want us to believe it's so vast and infinite, then why is it us?
Yeah, Bull, it sounds like they're saying it's directed directly at Earth. Isn't that? I mean, is that how they're putting it?
Yeah, that's the headline. Is it's pointed at Earth.
And in all of this talk about we're not alone, and that we're not going to be alone, and that soon we're going to find out stuff. Also, a lot of people believe that right before any kind of nuclear conflict, that's that aliens or fallen angels or some sort of higher power would come in and intervene. The reason they say that is a lot of nuclear events have nearly happened, and there's some insiders and some whistleblowers, supposed whistleblowers, that say that they were working at nuclear power plants or nuclear silos, and they said that during the cold conflict that they saw UFOs, and basically the missile didn't work, or it turned off, or there's all sorts of crazy rumors and stories out there that UFOs and there's tons of UFO sightings around nuclear power plants, nuclear silos, all of these kind of weird things. So is it because they know something's about to happen and they're sending this beam of light, and some scientist is going to go, oh, it's a message, and they're going to come down with a fake alien invasion and say peace on Earth? Or are they going to go and eat Biden first? I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Before anything else, I do want to remind you, the show is, again, powered by energy. If you don't have a solar generator, I highly recommend one, because this will actually save a lot of butts during any kind of power outage, whether it be from a storm or essentially any kind of power outage, including a grid down scenario. Then you definitely want to get one of these. In fact, if you are worried about EMP and things like this, Energy is the only solar generator that you can get an EMP Shield directly made for. So if you do believe in both products, you can get them, in fact, together. There is a EMP Shield that can be hooked up directly through. It's made specifically for the Flex 1500. This system is modular. You can add up to 96 batteries, or you can add up to 5 in one stack that you can lift with the handle and take with you. Most people are just going to have one battery and one head unit, and the premium, the I guess preferred setup would be 4 solar panels, a battery, and you're ready to go. It's plug and play. It's not advanced. It's not confusing. You literally plug the panels in, and you got power. And that's what's really, really amazing about this. On top of that, it is one of the most well-made out there. You get what you pay for in terms of this kind of technology. The lithium technology in this is absolutely a beautiful thing, because they have made this so high quality that this is going to last for decades. Again, this is a really, really, really great system. It is also absolutely silent, so nobody will know that you have one. If you have a gas-powered generator, gas-powered generators are great, but if an SHTF situation happens, everyone in the whole neighborhood is going to know you have one, especially some of the louder ones you can hear from blocks and blocks away. On top of that, you don't need gas. You don't need to store barrels of gasoline. You can actually just have your panels, and you're good. They also make different models that are not modular. They now have the Kodiak X2 that's coming out in December. If you want something like real quick, I highly recommend. Also, they have the XT, or I'm sorry, the LT, which is their smaller version, and then the one on screen is the Kodiak X2. This can actually be better for van lifers and, of course, RVers. You can actually pair 2 of these to double the output. You can actually basically power anything you can plug into the bad boy, or most anything that anyone would be in an SHTF. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY, and remember to put the code Marfoogle in. You can get upwards of $170 off. Highly recommend their folding solar panels. You can take them with you. They have a custom carrying case around them. You can basically pick it up like a briefcase and bounce out. All right, that's marfooglenews.com/INERGY. That will help support our channel, and you will be getting something out of it. I think I saw a comment earlier, and somebody says, hey, we would like to donate this, and this to you guys. This way, if you ended up doing that, you'd be supporting us. You could put that money towards something you could actually have save your life. So that would be a good idea as well. All right, and let's see here. Dex, let's go over the web only.
Absolutely. So don't go anywhere, because there's some crazy stories here too. So sit tight, folks. I know a lot of times you get anxious and you're ready to jump ship. Don't do it. There's a lot. marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show on YouTube and on Rumble. In the description, it's right there. Show notes link. It's so easy to get to. Look, there's some crazy stuff coming out of Boston University. You guys need to go look into this. So there's a lot of outrage around something that may have been created there from the last thing that has gone around, the cough, so to speak, that has a very high rate. And that doesn't sound good at all. Also, there's some new updates on that same topic around a variant that may be out there. And then, of course, Xi's country doing additional lockdowns. So that topic is coming back, at least right now. I don't know how much more we'll hear, if it's going to get worse during the season, so to speak, or not. But that first one is kind of alarming. Let's see what happens with that. Hopefully they're smart enough to destroy it, or at least lock it down so it doesn't go anywhere. Elon, of course, is always in the news for some strange reason, but apparently now he is going to keep the satellites running. He's not going to turn that off. So even though he was looking to be paid, I guess obviously somebody told him, hey, you shouldn't do that. So maybe he's not. Radioactive waste found at a Missouri elementary school. I'm sure that's an interesting one you're going to want to read and understand. Now, look, there's a lot of additional stuff happening in the political scene. We even have some updates here, with China and Xi and what's going on there, especially with his next term he's trying to get. But as we roll into the political side, all of the updates going on the political side are there. Some weird stuff going on with, T-Man and Yi, as he likes to be called, as well as what's happened with some of the other folks that have been involved in that period of time, from J6 until before. So all of that, as well as a crazy video coming out of Park Avenue. So go check that out as well. All of that and so much more. I didn't cover it all. So make sure you go to Marfoogle News, click on the thumbnail for the show, or if you're on YouTube, open that description, click on the show notes link. Same thing on Rumble. It's right there. It's so easy to find. Just click it. It'll take you right here.
And thank you, Kelly2334, for the Ninja Guinea over on DLive. Thank you for the support, Michelle K, Kimbria, Vicky K. Again, Michelle K and Vicky K, you guys are the best Ks out there. Yay, I like the end of Kanye. If I'm sure a lot of people agree with you. I think his general points, though, I do agree with. And then Snowboard, keep rocking the info out to the fam. And then evening, y'all. Yobi, thank you. It's Jay. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Mighty Tort, and, of course, everybody that popped in over on DLive. You Dribble RT, thank you for following today. And then a few other people I really appreciate. Thank you, Andreas Binder, for the super thanks on the last show. Andreas, actually, that was 2 shows in a row. You did a donkey or donkey on exchanging more than words and the real response. Tammy Johnston, thank you as well. And, of course, Mary Tyndall, please pray for a reporter on the ground. I need to read the rest of that. What is going on? Let's see. Let's see. Oh, QWERTY. Let me read that real quick, because Adam, do you or anyone else have been feeling like something extremely bad is going to happen, like 911 type of event or worse? QWERTY, that's my whole show. I've been telling people since I was 18 something's about to happen again. I was 14 when that happened, or 15. I felt like this whole thing is in slow-mo over the years, but I do feel like we are there, and unfortunately, people are gonna be afraid by that. People just need to stop being scared and get prepared. Thank you, Adam, Dex, and the best mods. Much love to the Foogle fam. Mir504, thank you. Make sure to thank your mods down there. After WW3 will be the mark implemented by Vlad or G. Me Speaking 75, I don't know if you read that story that we covered about the bus drivers having those bracelets. Those bracelets are being mass produced, like a lot. And that was another piece that came out, is they were saying, why are they making millions of these? Dragon Day. Greg Davis, JPL Asteroid 2027, look it up. It will make sense why Xi wants to take Taiwan by 2027. NASA has a PDF exercise on it and everything. Greg Davis, I don't know if I've seen that one, but there's one that's like they say it's fake, and people, I've questioned on the show if it was an actual real scenario that they just said was fake or something. JPL, that sounds really familiar, like we have covered that. But in 2029, Apophis is supposed to come near, have a very close call, if they're not, lying to us. And then Meeple 007, in my opinion, everyone should be prepared. It's about to get biblical. Shout out to the mind or mods. I'm probably went my mods on that one. And then Fate favors the prepared Dean. Thank you, and thank you. I think I missed you in the very beginning of the show, so thank you. Dex, thank you for your service today.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Thank you, mods. If you have not checked out marfooglenews.com/friends, we have not only our great mods, but we have our friends, all the channels around us. Please pray for Paul and Adrian of Off-Grid Desert Farming with Paul and Adrian. Paul has been, I don't think he even says what it is, but I'm believing he's going through cancer right now, and something is eating at him, and that's how he put it. He said it feels really weird when something is, your body's not right and something's eating away at you. And he was holding back the tears. He is deserving of every prayer you send him. So he is another person, like I said, he's yelling at the top of his lungs, and I hope people listen to him. Paul, I appreciate you, and I'd love to work with you again in the near future. And if you need anything from us, let us know. And then CJ Blaze, Jammer1, Lisa R. Hall, PNW Affliction, Rip Curl Readiness, RGL Harris, of course, Survival Game, Trinity, Red or Blue Pill, Hi Ho, Kermit the Frog here. Lots of great creators on there, lots of great people. Thank you, and thank you. Love you guys. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It's now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Everybody gonna be arrested. Hopefully they're ready. Let's bring it on the back with my essay. In the world getting real messy. Everybody gonna be arrested. Hopefully they're ready. Bring it on the low, bring it on the high, don't know. Bring it on the high, bring it on the low, bring it on the high, don't know. Bring it on the high, bring it on the low, bring it on the they're ready. Let's bring it on the back with my essay. In the world getting real messy. Everybody gonna be arrested. Hopefully they're ready. Let's bring it on the back with my essay. In the world getting real messy. Everybody gonna be arrested. Hopefully
bomb, bomb, bomb when the mouse at me. I see the mom, 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 and the mom in me. I see the bomb, 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 bomb. I get the Vicky K Kelly 2, 3, 3, 4. I get the Leo X2 and Smoke Bart. I get the Chance Paladin, Mr. Alamin, going back around and everybody seen him. Everybody knows him. Bring it on the high, bring it on the low, bring it on the high, don't know. Bring on the neighbor car with the Laura Lottery, with the Arabic people and the MRB. I get the high strings, it's in the holiday kisser. A Brian night, everybody missed ya. I said the mighty, mighty, mighty toy. I said the bomb of 6 and the Mr. Court. On the bag now with the Captain Scotty. OIMEL. I got the aiming for the wisdom well. And I found Waldo swell. I said the bomb bomb back in the back now, now. Everybody really wanna do it now. Sample out, coming now, grabbing on the ambulance. Spooky OG, one on me, cat in the hat I see. I back now down with the Carolyn Wingo, MRB and prayers. With the Jackie Rockwell R and the Guacaholic by far. Bring it on the back with my essay. In the world, getting real messy. Everybody gonna be arrested. Hopefully, they're ready. Let's bring it on the back with my essay. In the world, getting real messy. Everybody gonna be arrested. Hopefully, they're ready. I get the one night back with the blue sky. Everybody gonna ask why. Don't know on the Henry, don't know on the honey. Everybody really thinks it's funny. Sean Barker and the Amen. With the bomb bombs in them, we man. Everybody aiming for the wisdom, but some miss that shot. Richard on the high Z, oh no high Z. Everybody gonna be the wise man. No, I got the wind of raps and the music sounds good. Dappy I said the boy, acquiesce. Everything you can, yes. I got the Linda Hope, Jody, you know, Black and Rack and now Sample out. Rick get back and now I see. If you wanna go back with me, still don't know George Washington. Everybody know Michael Jordan. Everybody gonna love, love, love. Everybody gonna love, love, love. I get the Guacaholic, busy on the girl. You my baby blue and Mr. World. Baby, you're true, so things I done. Mama of 6 and the Jackie out on. Jackie on the flowers, wanna be. Everybody gonna see. Oh, nah, I own now, I own now, I own now. I'm Murphy's Law. Oh, yeah. I got the Hulu TV on the back. With the Tories of pure blood, so be. I said the lawman dead and the Roosevelts and then the Natalie and the Mr. Bell and the Orchid Fisher. Gonna back down with that pistol. Yeah, now, gonna eat down, baby, eat down.
Every other day, aiming for wisdom. Every other day we have a call-in. It's easier said than done, though. You need callers. I got the Richard Heinze with George Washington. Everybody with the one on me. I get the Tyler. Every week he's